If you're looking to learn guitar, check out Dave Isaac's Guitar Studio on Music Row. Whether you are a beginner or hobbyist to professional songwriter or artist, Dave offers a unique and powerful method of instruction that teaches not just the instrument, but the whole musician. Find out more at NashvilleGuitarGuru.com. Today's show is brought to you by locally owned and operated Highland Rim Speedway. Highland Rim Speedway is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year with great short-track, door-to-door stock car racing in a safe, family-friendly atmosphere. Visit their website at highlandrim.com.
Hello, welcome to Music Business Weekly. Today we have best-selling author of Guerilla Music Marketing, author Bob Baker. He is also a workshop leader and musician. Stay tuned.
From the family grocery hauler to fire-breathing racing engines, the one name you need to know is USA Motor and Machine, located at 51 Cleveland Avenue in Nashville, Tennessee. Give them a call at 615-726-3725 or at usamotorandmachine.com. If you want to feel the wind blowing through your hair and see the great city of Nashville at the same time, check out Nashville Scooter Tours. Trekking through the downtown streets to Music Row with Nashville Scooter Tours is safe, eco-friendly, and a whole lot of fun. They use Xenon electric scooters that go 55 miles on a single charge. Find out more by calling 615-290-5563 or book your reservation today at NashvilleScooterTours.com.
Hello everyone,
Hello.
Welcome to Music Business Weekly.
Yes.
I'm Sharra Rivera.
I'm Kelsey Manning, and we are very excited to have Bob Baker via Skype.
And we are filling in today for Greta Gaines because
Yes, we
she
are.
is out of town. Yes, today we have Bob Baker coming at us live via Skype
Yes.
from St. Louis.
So, the magic of the internet.
That's right.
I'm really excited.
Bob is a renowned artist and workshop leader,
author. I don't do my
of
shot with my
Guerilla
book.
Music Marketing. So, Bob, tell us, you started out your career as a singer-songwriter. What made you turn the passion into writing?
Well, great. Well, thanks a lot. Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. Been watching the show for a while, so it's really a thrill for me to be a guest after seeing so many episodes. And so, yeah, I've been an author actually this year. Well, actually in 2012, 2013, sort of on the cusp there is actually was when I'm celebrating 20 years as a published author. So my first book actually came out like 20 years ago. But I think you're talking about even further back when I started actually playing music, playing the guitar, and maybe when I was like around 12, got serious about it when I was like 15. You know, so by the time I was in high school, I was playing in a rock band. So sometimes when it is true, I'm a singer-songwriter. I've been singing in bands and writing songs ever since those days. But sometimes singer-songwriter might have a connotation of like kind of acoustic, folky or something. And so I always like to point out that I'm a rocker.
Oh, okay, you are a rock star.
So I was not a rock star, but a rocker. And so, I've been playing in bands since I was in high school. And that was the 1970s for anyone who's keeping track.
Cool.
And so, and I used to, like in earlier periods of my life, I always refer to music as my first love or the first passion that I had. But it occurred to me over the years that actually preceding that actually is an interest that I've had in writing since even like third or fourth grade. I used to just write on my own outside of school and write these little stories and share them with people. And the reason I think this is important is not just to tell people about my story, but there's actually something instructive and I hope inspiring here. And I think that is when you find something that you're meant to do, you know, some people call it like a right livelihood, or, you know, when you're really truly doing the sort of work that you're meant to do, you can often trace back those interests, those passions to an earlier stage of your life until childhood even. I think a lot of people sort of discount things that they were interested in when they were kids, you know, but I've managed to incorporate those things into my life. So yeah, music and writing is something that's been a big part of who I am for decades now.
That's awesome.
Cool. Well, so you started your first magazine, Spotlight, back in the 80s. Tell us about that.
Right, so 1987, which is, again, it was like 25 years ago. So actually, many of your listeners, including maybe both of you, were actually maybe were born after that year.
No, I'm a child of the 80s.
Nope. 90, all the way.
So you were in diapers, perhaps, when
Yeah.
when I was doing that. But yeah, when I was in my mid to late 20s, it's the first time I combined these two passions that I had, and I got this crazy idea to start a local music newspaper here in my hometown of St. Louis, where I've lived in my entire life. And I, on paper, I had no reason whatsoever to think that I had the credentials or, to publish a newspaper. I never worked for the school paper. I never went to journalism school or anything. And so, but I had this sort of entrepreneurial streak, and there was a void in our city, like in a lot of cities, maybe not Nashville, but many cities, the local musicians complain that, the local music scene isn't given enough media coverage. And so instead of just complaining about it, I said, well, there's an opportunity. Maybe I'll start something. I'll be part of the solution instead of just complaining about what's wrong. And maybe I could build a little business around that. And so another lesson there is don't wait for, a lot of people, again, discount themselves because they don't have the degree or the credentials or someone hasn't given them permission to go ahead with something. And if it's right for you, just do it anyway, and you'll figure out, you'll make mistakes, but you'll figure out how to do it better as you move along. But I started that in 1987. It was a slow start, but it grew and flourished here in St. Louis for 10 years. And it was my transition from being strictly a musician to being an author. In fact, it was during that 10-year period that I sort of got into these early days of teaching and helping musicians with their marketing.
So you started a column in that about teaching musicians how to do it themselves and how to promote themselves. And so did that just get a huge fan base and you decided to spin off from that?
Like specifically?
Yeah, well, it's an evolution because quite often in life, as you pursue things that you're interested in, by taking action, even though you don't know exactly where you're going to end up, opportunities present themselves and you learn things about what you like and don't like and what people are responding to that sort of leads you in a different direction. So when I started my newspaper, I actually didn't even think about having this like a column in it, or I didn't think about it was going to lead to being an author, but it definitely did. So after a few years of doing the newspaper, I was in a great position to actually interview a lot of musicians, from local bands to indie touring acts to even major label, to the headliners that would pass through town. I would interview these people, and I was always very curious, being a musician myself. I would always pick their brains and go, well, how did you build a fan base? What did you do to sell that many albums? And so as I collected this information and combined it with my own research, and I was a student of marketing long before I was a teacher of it, and so that stuff would ended up. I just started publishing these columns, sometimes for my own benefit, but also for the benefit of my readers. And I started immediately getting good feedback on them. And so that's another thing, when you start doing stuff you're interested in and you notice it's getting a good response from the public, or at least a small segment of the public, then you're on the right path. So I just continued to do more of that. Through a series of circumstances, I ended up meeting this guy from San Diego who was just starting his own book publishing company, and he was looking for other authors. I was on the phone with him. He said, if you know somebody with a good idea for a book. I said, well, as a matter of fact, I have one. And that was 1992, and that led to my first book being published. And I've often told the story about when that first case of the books, arrived at the post office, and I went and cracked it open and held that book in my hand for the first time. It's like a light bulb went off, and I said, this is cool. You hold that tangible example of something that was just an idea in your head,
And it finally
it's going to, it's going to be reaching a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. I just made a decision then that I think I'm going to dedicate a lot of my future years to this path of being an author and a teacher. And so I still did the newspaper for another 5 years after that, but that was kind of what set me on the path that I'm on today.
And it kind of laid the groundwork for the Guerilla Music Marketing. I bought this when I went to an NSAI workshop. Actually, that's how I met you. I went and heard you speak. And so for everyone to see, yes.
Oh, cool.
Promoted again. But it was actually featured in the School of Rock movie with Jack Black.
I want to know about that. Did they contact you about it?
I can tell you about that, sure.
Yeah.
So this book, actually, the very first version of it came out in about 95 or 96. So it's like 16, 17 years since that first version. It's been updated many, many times. But it was just a collection of the best columns that I had written in my own newspaper that I put out there. And it was really one of the early first books of its kind about how to take this independent DIY path, even long before it was cool to be indie, you know. But anyway, so when you get stuff out there, you know, into the world, a lot of if you're doing good and resonating with an audience, good things will come your way. And so one of the perks of one of many that came along was I got this email out of the blue in around 2003 or 2004 from somebody who said they were collecting props for Paramount Pictures for a movie that starred Jack Black, and asked if I would send in a copy of my book and that as possible use as a prop. So no money exchanged hands. I didn't pay. They didn't pay me. I just signed a waiver and sent the thing off. And then like a year went by, and I had forgotten about it. And suddenly I started seeing the promos for the School of Rock. It was coming out. It was, I don't know, it was 04 or 05 maybe. And I bought my ticket and went to the opening weekend just like everybody else, scouring every scene, you know, wondering, you know, if they possibly were, you know, I thought there was a pretty good chance that they probably didn't even, you know, use it. But all of a sudden there was a scene where the Miranda Cosgrove, she's now like a Disney star.
Right.
She was, at the time she was 10 years old, and she played the band manager in the movie. And she's carrying it during one of the classroom scenes. And
I saw that.
I yelled out, "There it is!"
It was your moment.
I love it. It's almost like a collection that I mean, in my personal opinion, like you see from Rolling Stone about how, you know, what is your music? What do you like? How do you describe your music? How do you connect to your fan base? Tell us about what are the main topics in the book.
Sure. And so, yeah, I guess one of the things that I've realized, now having been a writer for most of my life and having written about this topic, I mean, the reasons I've done well as an author is because, well, for one, I'm a musician, continue this day to play very actively, and so I come at it from a player's and working musician's perspective. Again, that sense of curiosity. I'm as much of a student as I am a teacher. But another thing is that I guess I have an ability to take a complicated subject that confuses a lot of musicians and a lot of creative people. They're just frustrated and confused by marketing, and so I like to take this topic and break it down into ways that not only it's easy to wrap your brain around, but people actually can get over and get on friendlier terms with it. Because a lot of people refer to marketing as a unnecessary evil, you know, or something, you know, and that's like a dirty, you know, manipulative thing, and that's not what effective marketing is at all. And so if I can help someone kind of reframe how they view this, and how they think about marketing, that's the first step. But actually the handbook that you bought that you have there in the studio is probably a few years old, and I just actually spent much of 2012 updating the whole thing, and I'm about to release the new sort of 2013 edition of the book, and it's divided into 5 sections. The first one is just sort of like, I call it basic training to go with the guerrilla marketing concept.
How to prepare.
These basic principles. But you first have to sort of wrap your brain around it before you can start. You know, a lot of people just want to dig right into the tactics and the tools, and they want to start using Facebook before they even know what they're doing or why they're doing it. Then there's a section on the internet. There's a section strictly on publicity. One on the making money aspect of it, which is, you know, an important thing.
The best part, yeah.
A lot of artists. And then a final section and just on a whole variety of kind of advanced and creative, you know, examples and success stories. But the main thing, I guess, is just one of the early lessons I like to teach people is that marketing is just like a lot of musicians feel uncomfortable when it comes to marketing or selling themselves or their music. But when I ask them, well, how do you feel about sharing your music with people who would like hearing it? And almost everybody is yeah, I'm comfortable. I would love for more people to hear my music. So marketing is just really, it's a strategic form of sharing your music specifically with the people that it's going to resonate with the most. Another important principle is that you're not going to appeal to everyone, so you should not try. So just know that if you can just create a fan base or create a connection with a small sliver of the population, that you can build an entire career on that.
Cater, you know? what you make to you a niche.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there are pop stars that seem to be, you know, I don't know, Taylor Swift or whoever that maybe appeal to a wide spectrum of people. Even she doesn't appeal to everyone.
That's right.
but I think and I guess it all depends on your style. But I think indie artists are best served, since you have limited time and limited resources. If you can really focus on who your ideal fan is, and focus all your efforts on the places where they hang out, where they're congregating, go through the sources where they get their information, and where their friends are hanging out, you're going to be a lot more effective than just kind of sort of shotgun approach of spraying your message over
everything to everyone.
Yeah.
And this is just one of your books, but and by the way, you can buy it at mybuzzfactor.com. We'll have that up on the screen, and at the bottom have a link. But also, you've written MySpace Music Marketing, Branding Yourself Online, and a few others. You've written like 7 books, right?
Yeah, I think there's 8 paperbacks total. The website's actually thebuzzfactor.com.
Oh, I'm sorry, had it wrong.
That's all right. Just make sure it's thebuzzfactor.com. And there's actually 3 books just in the Guerilla Music Marketing series. The handbook is the first one, sort of the flagship. And then there's Guerilla Music Marketing Online. This is all cover to cover about the internet. The book called Unleash the Artist Within. It's sort of like for creative people of all kinds. I've a book for authors too, about how to promote and sell your book on the internet, since I seem to have done well doing that, as a show like this is an example, perhaps.
Hooray! Yes, the internet.
Promoting books.
So what other projects do you have down the line? I know that you paint also. Those are your paintings in the background.
Yeah, I recently, I kind of, over the past year, I've gone through a crazy creative surge where I started doing artwork. Again, there's Elvis over my wall.
I know, it's great, and I love Marilyn. Is that Elvira in the corner?
It's not Elvira. It's actually Lily Munster from the TV show The Munsters.
Oh, okay.
60s. Yeah.
The screen's kind of grainy, so I couldn't tell as well.
That's all right. They do look similar though, and Marilyn Monroe is up there. So I've been having fun I've been doing painting since I was like 12 too. So I've been doing that for 40 years, but always under the radar. But I started posting some things on Facebook over the summer and got an immediate response and did that. But as far as I'm sort of really excited about the new version of the Guerilla Music Marketing Handbook, and actually one of the other things that I'm doing is I'm going to be doing a series of what I'm calling them Guerilla Music Marketing Master Classes, and it's basically kind of like an online interactive course where I'm going to basically do a 4-week class for each of the 5 sections of the book, where I'll deliver, the chapter with some sort of enhanced worksheets and exercises. I'm gonna there's gonna be like a private Facebook group where everybody taking the course can communicate with each other, kind of form a little community throughout the week. We'll have weekly conference calls. I set them up with a success partner, which is kind of like an accountability partner, where they actually have to check in with somebody like 5 days a week to just kind of stay on track and make sure they're using the stuff that they're learning, and so I'm pretty excited about that. That's like for the first half of the year. It'll take up much of my time.
Now, are you going to be traveling doing those? Are they in St. Louis? Are you coming to Nashville with any of those? So this is a totally virtual experience.
Yes.
And how can people find out about joining the course?
Well, the best way, actually, it's something that I would recommend that you do, whether you're interested in the course or not, is to go to thebuzzfactor.com, which is my main music website. Of course, it's a reference to the buzz factor that every artist would love to have, people talking about them. But I've actually been publishing a free email newsletter with marketing tips since like the mid-90s. It's like one of the longest running, music career tips email newsletters on the planet, and if they subscribe to that, that's actually the main way that I got the word out about it. I'm actually most of the spots are filled just with an email that I sent to my list. I'm not even really promoting it much otherwise. But I give a bunch of free stuff when you subscribe, and a regular dose of music marketing tips. So just go to thebuzzfactor.com, subscribe to the Buzz Factor e-zine, and I'll send you all kinds of stuff.
And you better get on it, because like you said, space is limited, and there's only a few spots left, and you don't want to miss this guy. Like I said, I'm a member of NSAI, Nashville Songwriters Association International, and I went and saw him speak, and it was a fabulous workshop.
So you get to see that like for weeks and weeks and learn everything.
I know, and have a trainer basically to help you in the course.
Exactly.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for being on the show, and we hope you come back soon and tell us about everything else that you're doing.
Yep.
All right, Sharra, Kelsey, I really enjoyed this. Thanks a lot, and continue doing the great work and the great job that you're doing too.
Thank you.
We'll see you later.
We'll see you soon.
All right, so long. Thanks.